you just need to like X out of all those old programs that are running that are just clogging up your subconscious and making you think that you're something that you're not.
All right, let's get started. I'm so excited to do this. This has been like a long time in the making, so this is really nice.
We've been saying that we want to do this for so long because, first of all, for anyone who's from my group, Gnarly's amazing. She's just an unbelievable person, speaker, so intelligent. So I'm really glad that we get to do this collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And to everyone watching from my audience, this is Lauren Sedbon. She knows her stuff. She's so intelligent. She's a powerful manifester. And we found each other on the internet and we're just so excited to collab. She also has an amazing YouTube channel that's so good, like so jam-packed with knowledge. So it's going to be just a fireside chat about manifestation and what we've come to learn to be a really fast way to like accelerate manifestation. Lauren, tell us, how did you get into this?
Into coaching and to law of attraction.
Yes.
So, my whole life has kind of been geared towards trying to understand personal development, trying to understand the mind. I did about like 9 years in sales and that background. I kind of steered away from it for a while, but then I had a spiritual awakening about like 5 years ago. And that really opened my mind to a different way to kind of help people achieve their goals. And once I kind of like put those pieces together, it was just like inevitable. It was I just realized that is exactly what I want to do with my life. That is how I want to help people, is really combining like all the tools and tricks from personal development with spirituality.
Beautiful. How I got into it was my dad gave me the book The Secret when I was 16. I had just broken up with my then boyfriend and I was crying in my room. He's like, here, like use this book and maybe it can help you like get a new boyfriend. And that's what he said, like get a new boyfriend with this book. So I read the book in a matter of 3 days. I just like consumed it so fast. And I was like, wow, like something just clicked. It just felt like it was just like this thing that I've been searching for. So I started to use it, not so much for relationships, but more for just like manifesting things. I was like, oh, this is actually working. And I just kept going and going. And yeah, amazing, Polar Bear. And so it's been that way ever since. I've been manifesting ever since intentionally. And one thing that I remember with The Secret was it talked about affirmations. That was my first time hearing of affirmations. And one of the affirmations within the book was to tell yourself that you're a success story. So that was the first little affirmation that I just held on. I'm a success story. I'm a success story. I'm a success story.
Wow, that's like really crazy because I would say that for me as well, like affirmations was the thing that really like changed my whole mindset, my whole life, and really like understanding that you have that control and you have that power to change it. And what I love about what you just said about that, you're a success story, because that's the kind of affirmation that I consider to be like a meta affirmation, like it's not like, okay, I'm living in the $1 million house. It's an affirmation of like how you think the rules of the game go. How do you think the world works for you, right? So that's really a powerful one. And like having that overall kind of like, view of the world and thinking that that's how the world works really changes and allows all your other affirmations to kind of fall into place.
Yeah. So Lauren, I know we want to tell everyone kind of some advanced techniques that we've been using, and we want to talk about self-concept and self-image and how that impacts our manifestation game. So can you tell us kind of how you come to see self-image and how it's affected your manifestation and all of that?
Yeah, so I think like the big game changer for me when I really understood self-concept and self-image, I didn't even really like fully think of it that way. Now I think I have a better grasp of it so I can explain it much better. But what it is really is understanding how you view yourself, okay? What do you think about yourself? That is your self-concept, that is your self-image. And really, this affects every single aspect of your life, whether that's money, relationships, friendships, job, career. It really doesn't matter. This is going to affect every aspect and every point of your life. So it's so important to have a strong grasp on how do you see yourself in relation to all of those categories, right? And basically understanding that, life is a game and you are making up the rules. You get to decide what the rules are and you are making those rules through your self-concept, So for me, basically that is the most important thing. When I personally understood this and really started implementing this in a way that is like massive, I started digging inside and saying like, what is my self-image problems that are actually holding me back? What are my self-concept issues that are actually holding me back from what it is that I want to achieve? Once I dug into that, it was a totally complete different 180 in my life.
I love that. I love that. And that's kind of how I've come to look at it too. Like we're all kind of characters and in this game of life or in this movie or play of life, right? And you want to think of it as an actual movie. Like the nerdy girl, she only has so many things she can do because that's her character. So what character are you playing, and how does that limit you? And then being empowered enough to know that you can change your script or your narrative or whatever, your character, your concept of self at any time. And that's when it becomes, yeah, main character vibes. Can you see the comments?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so it's one of those really fascinating things. I think that also helps relieve the stress of law of attraction, where it's like you got to be this vibration, you got to be all of this. How have you kind of, or do you still follow the law of attraction very closely? Like what schools of thinking do you follow more now?
So
Yeah.
I'd say that I have like a very like eclectic school of thinking right now. I would say it's, based on a lot of spirituality, manifesting, and law of assumption techniques, which, we've discussed in the past about law of assumption. We'll go into that. But really it also includes a lot of NLP and just, I think more in a meta way, now it's not like I sit down and I say, okay, I want to control every tiny minute detail in my life. When I started in manifesting, I was doing that. And it was a great test to see that that is possible. But now the way I think about it is you kind of have finite energy. You don't have unlimited energy. So it's better to direct your energy towards like the broader end goal experiences that you want to have. And then I just kind of let the universe like come in and like give it to me in the best way possible, instead of me with my limited mind trying to understand what would be the best avenue for something to happen.
I love that. I love that. So what are some key steps to really get the self-concept to turn around, to make it change it?
Yeah. So I would say like first of all, the most important step is awareness. Okay. Until you have awareness of what's actually happening in your life, until you can actually see like, this is something that I do all the time, this is a pattern that happens in my life, you absolutely can't change it. Okay. Because you just have no awareness of it. So I would say like actually half of the work happens in the awareness stage, is like literally taking the time to be aware, like, and ask yourself questions like, why is this happening on a daily basis? Why are all my relationships like this? Why is it that I think I need to work hard for money? All of those kinds of questions. And when you gain that awareness, now you can start looking into the self-concept. And then after that, I would say the second most important thing is to truly like affirm it into your life and to claim it in the now moment as already being yours without the 3D evidence or proof. I think like one of the biggest pitfalls is that people are constantly looking for 3D evidence or proof. And like, what would you say, for you, like in your experience, like how has it worked for you in self-concept? How have you changed that in your
There's a principle or a school of thought that I follow called be, do, have, right? A lot of people right now are operating from the mindset of waiting to have more money, waiting to have more energy, waiting to have more time, the clients, have more followers, have, before they do the thing they need to do to become the woman or man or successful person they want to be, right? This is backward. It's a model of performance that doesn't really work. So where I step from is be, do, have. Who must I be first to have the success that I want, that will allow me to do the things that come naturally in order to have the clients, the success, blah, 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 right? So being, your ways of being is what attracts. It's kind of like the character you must be to have it. You must be consistent. You must be passionate. You must be driven, committed, right? When I step into that ways of being, I promote my business, I coach my clients, and then everything manifests because I'm being the person that has it, right? Absolutely. So I think it's one of those things where you guys can write that down. Be, do, have. It's a very powerful mindset shift. For me, it's really about understanding that awareness as well, right? Like awareness is halfway healed. If you're aware and you keep going back into that pattern, then you're choosing that, right? You're choosing to stay in that paradigm or that victimhood of I can't get this and that kind of stuff. A big thing for me, because I went through a big transformation with my spiritual awakening, I was a completely different person, was my self-talk. That was the very first thing I had to get control of, because inside my mind was it was a very hostile place to be. It was very like the way I was talking to myself, right? So notice the words you're saying about yourself, because your words are the drippings of your mind, and your words link to who your character. You're speaking from that narrative, right? Yes, be, do, have. So when you're speaking and when you catch other people speaking, you ever meet like a really nice person, a really beautiful person, they open their mouth and you're like, you know, because their words reveal how they feel about themselves or who they think they are to be, right? So self-concept and looking at my self-talk really taught me how to wait. I don't want to manifest that. I don't want to create that kind of life or reality where I'm always struggling. Let me talk to myself differently, right? So that really shifted
Absolutely.
for me.
Like, yeah, I love what you say about that because it's so true. In manifesting and the law of attraction, like Neville Goddard specifically talks about inner conversations, and it's very similar to self-talk. You know, what I want to add to that, because you know we tend to think that like our world is really consisting just of only us, so our self-talk should be only about us, but it's actually about also having what is the self-talk that you have with others in your mind, right? So like, how do you think people view you? How do you think your relationship goes with others? You know, how do you think that they think of you? And we have conversations in our mind all the time based on this, on how we think that relationship is, right?
Very true. Very true. I like what you said about, let's go back to that, because you were saying people really wait for the external world to give them proof, evidence of, you know, your manifestations coming or you're on the right track. How have you yourself kind of overcome needing evidence, I guess?
So, you know, I think that this was the biggest game changer in my life when I truly understood the concept of faith. Okay. I did not understand this concept. I was not a spiritual person at all. I didn't understand the point of spirituality. I was extremely empirical. You know, my background was psychology. I was a researcher, and I was all about like, show me the money, show me the proof, show me the evidence. If the evidence is not there, then I don't want to hear about it. Right. So I was always like really about empirical proof. And I think the big game changer is when I understood that that is not actually how things happen. You have to have the faith in your vision. You have to have the faith in the thing that you want, the faith in your self-concept before it can even manifest into reality. And really, it's kind of like almost giving up control in that way, because we so much want to control and like see the 3D outcome and all of these things. Yeah. But it's when you're able to really give up that control and understand that you have to like allow it to pass. And when it does, and you get to the other side, then that builds your faith and builds your proof and builds all those things so that you can have more and more faith that you will get your desired outcome. But there's no way out except for through, basically.
I love that. I love that. One way that I've come to look at letting go, because I struggled a lot with controlling. I wanted everything to be very much, you know, anyone else, give me some hearts if you struggle with controlling things. But one way I came to look at it is thinking of your desire as a peanut, right? The nut itself is the desire, what you really want. And you have to let go of the shell, the frustration, the resistance, the fear. Just hold on to the actual nut and release the shell from it, which is when is it here, the anxiety, right? So I think that's what happens with a lot of people, because they're waiting for the external reality to say, you're good enough, or you have the money, it's on its way. And they start to feel into that lack, and they repel it more and more and more because they're not seeing it with their eyes, right? I think there's some spiritual texts about not looking with your eyes and feeling with your heart, but like it's one of those.
Something like that for sure. You're right. And I love what you just said about that, because it is, it's so true. It's really just so true. Like so when I come to like, you know, trying to help my clients like really get to the next level in their self-concept and achieve what they want in their life, whether that's business or financial or love or whatever, the idea that I get to is that you actually are already the thing that you want to be. It's just that you have it's like your computer and you have like a million programs open, and it's slowing you down actually from just being that thing already. So you just need to like X out of all those old programs that are running that are just clogging up your subconscious and making you think that you're something that you're not, right? So really that's how you really claim like your true essence, truly who you are and what you want to achieve in your life is really the undoing, like you said, the removing of the shell. It's not something to become. You already are that. There's nothing for you to be or do. You already are that. It's really just the removal of all of those things that like are confining you, you know, to this false sense of like a false identity that you don't want to be, right?
And everyone listening, please ask us some questions. You know, Lauren is a manifestation coach. I'm a mindset coach, so we really love this stuff. So definitely, you know, use this time to ask us some questions. So Lauren,
this is our obsession. So go for it.
I've been waiting all day to hear this story, though. I've been waiting all day to hear this story. How did you just tell me the story of how you manifested $25,000? Tell us all.
So this is like an unbelievable story. And so I'm always testing self-concepts. I'm always testing the limits of my subconscious mind. What are my beliefs? Okay. And how do they actually like impress on my subconscious and then impress on my world? Right. So, you know, the first thing you got to do is just accept it. Accept that what you believe is creating your reality. Once you accept that, you can work within that framework and that model. So, you know, I actually in the past manifested more than that. I manifested $60,000 in 60 days. Yeah,
Woo!
that was, yeah. So that was, you know, that was in a work environment. Okay. But that was way, way more than I ever thought was possible. So that was really after doing a full subconscious reprogramming for 2 weeks. I literally tripled my income and halved my work. Okay.
Beautiful.
But again, what I really wanted to prove to myself through this experiment of the $25,000 was that I could do it without working. Okay. Because that was a belief that was limiting me, that I knew if you work hard, you make money. I really believed that, you know? And so I was working in the framework of that belief system. So what I did actually was change my belief system to actually, I don't need to work for money. And I made it an intention to manifest $15,000 without having to work. Okay. And then I actually just impressed that on my mind that that's how the world works for me. I really like reprogram through affirmations and other techniques that I use like in my clients, and you can see on my YouTube channel. And yeah, I manifested $25,000, and how it came to be is not the relevant part, because what happened like in the 3D was that I ended up investing in a stock that, by the way, at the time, everyone told me it was a really bad idea. I didn't know anything about the stock market. I'd never invested in stocks before.
Wow.
Okay. And the company itself was like, you know, at the time, everyone was like, this company is highly overvalued. That stock ended up more than 10xing. Okay. 10 timesing. Yeah. And so, yeah, I made even way more than my goal. The thing is, though, that when it came to me, it was through intuition only. I had no knowledge of this thing. I literally just kept getting signs about this company, which I didn't like. I didn't have any interest in the product that they made. I didn't like their CEO. I didn't know anything about them. I really just went on intuition that this was like kind of being shown to me from the universe, you know? And so I acted on that.
I love that.
And
so
that's how I manifested 25,000 without working at all. And I'd never done that previously. So it was completely out of the realm of what I believed in my mind, you know?
So for the people watching, can you explain to them, how do you impress your subconscious mind? How do you impress it to project it? Can you kind of explain your process?
Yes. So this is actually a big debate in the community. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe you've also like noticed this, but it's like, do I have to feel it real, or can I just repeat something, right? So really, like, my belief system comes from psychology and neuroscience, and they show us that both ways do impress. So if you do something with enough feeling and you really like put yourself in the end result of having that thing, imagining it, using your imagination to visualize it, your brain does not know the difference, and it will impress through feeling. Okay. But we also know, and you could see this from your own life probably, repetition is also enough to get what you want, even if you don't care about it. So if you say your affirmations every single day, not even caring about them, eventually you will believe them. Because I mean, think about, the media is brainwashing us all the time, right? You may not even care what TV show you're watching, what news show you're watching, but if you hear it enough, you will believe whatever they're saying on the news, on the media, on Instagram or whatever. You'll believe it because you've been immersed in it for so long, right? It becomes your world. So to me, either way, full immersion or with emotion, both work. You know.
Okay,
and how about you? What have you found really helps?
Well, I'm a hypnotherapist, so I go for the emotional side of it, where you're in, you know, sleep state, and you're relaxing, and you're putting those images in your mind, because your subconscious mind is an emotional mind, right? So creating those mental images is really powerful for me. I say my affirmations. I have a timer 3 times a day to say my affirmations and feel into them, and I live in the end. And I do a lot of like scenes in my mind, like, you know, I have one scene where I like hand the keys to a new car to my mom in my mind. I'm just like, here, mom. and I just see her face like light up.
I love it.
A scene that I just play over, right? I get really involved in emotionally, because I find, even as a mindset coach, people aren't emotionally attached to their goals. Like, yeah, I want this, but they need to be really invested, I find, to really take action when they know what's at stake emotionally and what's on the other side, what they have to gain from it. We did have some questions, so I hope that helps. But yeah, affirmations are great. I think also meditation, if that's possible. I don't really meditate. I just do hypnosis, but you know, meditation is a great way to just relax your brain and tell it what to do. Right.
So to me, meditation is actually quite important. I'll explain to me, what is the purpose, okay? Because I think a
Okay.
lot
Yeah.
of people don't understand the purpose of meditation, and that's why they don't do it, and they don't like
Mm-hmm.
it. So meditation is to create a space between your thought and your reaction to your thought.
Mm-hmm.
So when you meditate and thoughts like come up into your mind about like who you are, or like annoying thoughts or whatever, you want to see that
Yeah.
thought and you want to see it externally and just look at it and kind of observe the thought. And when you're able to have a practice where you observe your thought, when you go throughout your day, you're actually creating like space in time, okay, when things
I
happen
love
to you.
that.
So people are like, how do I not react to the 3D? How do I not react to what's happening if it looks like the complete opposite? Meditation helps with that because it allows you to see it, the thing that's happening, from outside of yourself, and be able to look at it and choose what you want to do. Okay, instead of just see the thing, react. See the thing, react.
Respond.
That's what we all do, you know?
Respond instead of reacting. Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that. That's a beautiful way to explain it, right? And then the thing with the universe is it loves a vacuum. So when you create that space, the universe will rush in and bring you the thing even closer. So we had Nikki here ask, in relationships, have you manifested happiness?
Yeah,
That's an open-ended
absolutely.
question, but go ahead. You can
Yeah,
ask.
absolutely. You know, it's a little bit like, yeah, it's a bit of a broad or a big question, but for sure, look, you know, the happiness that you're going to experience in relationships, any kind, whether that's romantic or friendship based, is, or manifesting also specific people, by the way, which a lot of people have asked me about, and I've done that a number of times in my life. So, you know, the whole idea of that is really is like, what are your beliefs about relationships? And people don't really sit and unpack and understand like, what are their expectations? What do they actually need? How do they actually want to feel in the relationship, right? They just like get into a relationship. They just meet somebody and they just like get together, but they haven't set the standard for how they want to be loved, right? They haven't set the standard of what they expect in relationships. So that also is, to me, part of self-concept and self-love, right? That's the point of self-love in self-concept, is really to set the standard for how you expect your romantic relationships to go.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think one thing that I did a lot of unlearning from is, you know, being dependent on that relationship to tell you what you're worth or tell you how lovable you are, right? When you put that person on a pedestal, you shrink yourself, you minimize yourself. So understanding that, you know, everyone is you pushed out, but everyone is you, everyone's within you, we're all connected. So that neediness, letting go of that neediness, like when you don't need, one thing that really changed the game for me, guys, is when you don't need that person or the manifestation to fulfill you, that's when it comes in, right? You don't put your fulfillment and your happiness, you don't make that man or that woman your oxygen, right?
Exactly. And I think you said something like pretty important there, where you're like minimizing the neediness. You know, I kind of like recently came to like one sentence about self-concept and relationships. And actually, not only relationships, anything. It's like, if you understand that you're the one, like you're the one, okay, for anything that you want, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a business, whether that's money or whatever, to know that you're the one and let that be unwavering, even in the face of the 3D evidence to the opposite, then you will get everything that you want. We can really distill it. That to me distills all of self-concept.
If I was watching, I'd be giving you hearts for just saying that. I love that. I love that. You're the one. No, seriously, like that's the plug. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's
I love
exactly.
that. So we had
You know?
Nan here ask, do you focus on manifesting one desire at a time? And does it matter if you have a big list of affirmations for different desires, including self-concept? The way I
Very good
look at it
question.
is, yeah, that's a great question. I think I try to manifest just three things at a time. Of course, you're limitless. You can manifest as much as you want, but I focus on three things that I would really like to see in the next 3 to 6 months, and I focus my energy on those three things. But we're like, you know, life is a pie. There's no one slice, right? The way you do your finances affects your relationships. The way you do your relationships affects your health. It's all interconnected. So, and
I love that.
personally, I have a list of affirmations that kind of are general, that encompass what I want to experience in life, what I want to wake up to. How about you?
So I love what you just said. And really that's like fabulous the way that you said it. For me, this is the kind of understanding that I've come to about it, okay? Is that if you're manifesting many little things, and this is where self-concept is so important, and I'm really glad that we did this about self-concept, okay? Because if you're manifesting like a lot of little things, then it means that something is not cohesive in your self-concept about your worth on that topic. Okay. So, and actually you're creating a lot of like more work for you. You can do it that way. Like, for example, if you look online on YouTube, a lot of manifesting coaches are like, yeah, like let's say affirmations about that specific person, say affirmations about every tiny little thing, like I get free cups of coffee, I get this, I get that. But the idea is if you have a self-concept in which you just get everything for free, like part of my self-concept is that I travel for free all the time.
Yes,
that
me too.
Right? That I travel for free, that I like literally the last like 6 weeks, I don't think I paid for one dinner, and I was at a restaurant almost every single day. Just something always happened. I get invited to these events and this, but that didn't used to happen to me. It's because I changed my self-concept on the general topic of how the world works, right? So to me, if you have like a million different tiny little affirmations, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it means that you're turning away from the self-concept, and you think in a way you're not worthy of those things. There's like that kind of lack there, right? Because it's not who you are, right? So the more that you focus on you, it reflects back in all the small things.
One self-concept generalized statement that I use that might help you, Nana, if you're still listening, is become the version of you that just has it all, right? So if you're in a parallel universe or parallel reality where you have it all, you're not fearing or needing to go too hard. You just kind of know. You have this positive knowing, right? It really comes down to faith and trusting the unseen and living in the 40 and living in that space of, you know, this is a non-issue. My desires are a non-issue. Like there are no problems in my reality. They're coming to me. They're chasing me, actually. You know what I mean?
The dropping of the lack, basically.
Yeah. Addie said, should I let go or continue to affirm until the desire shows up? What do you think, Lauren?
Good question. Personally, I think that basically it's not about like letting go or not letting go. It's about having non-attachment to the desire that you want and knowing that it's yours. So it's like if you know something is yours and you know that it's common in your life, then you're not like desperate to grab it. Okay. The big mistake I think people make with their manifestations is that they're trying to gain something external to them to validate them. So again, they're not knowing that they're the one. Instead, they're looking for something to tell them that they are the one, and therefore they're in a state of questioning, not in a state of answers, right? So, you know, yeah, so should you let go? I mean, you would already, it's, you know, you always move forward. You always move forward because you cannot be in the solution by sitting in the problem. You always do your life and move from the state of knowing you're the one, and not like sit and hope that that person comes back or hope you get that money or like how, no, you move forward through action and you do everything that you would do from the mindset of being the one, you know, but of course you continue to affirm that it's yours, you know, until it's ingrained, until you feel like it's obvious.
I'd love for you to explain to people how maybe you yourself have made it normal, because that's what a lot of people are struggling with. How do I make it normal when it's not in my reality? Like, how do I, you know, can you talk about that?
Make it feel like it's mine, basically?
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, this is how I've worked with people in the past, and I've noticed this. I think that, like, for example, if you've never made $1,000 before and you want to manifest $1 million, you can, but you probably don't have the self-concept that resonates with $1 million, the same way you're talking about like the be do have, right? Because your self-concept is not really resonating towards $1 million. At that point, you don't even know how you're gonna make 1,000. So for you, your logical mind is just like, how am I gonna make $1 million? How is this gonna happen? How is this gonna happen, right? So I consider it like spheres, you know, it's like we're sitting in the middle, and then you have like a circle around you of like what you can believe. What can you believe, right? And so what I do and what I've done in the past to get to the point of being a very powerful manifestor, because it is a muscle that you exercise, actually, your faith and your belief is a muscle, just like any other muscle, is I go to the end of the circle and I see what is like at the edge of what I can believe, you know? So for me, like manifesting $15,000 without working for me was like at the edge of what I believe. I'm like, I guess it's possible. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but I can believe it. If I would have said I can manifest 100,000 at that point where I was in the circle, I wouldn't be able to even grasp the concept through my self-concept. Okay. And then when you do achieve it, what happens is that then you're here and the circle expands, and it expands exponentially. Right. So to me, that is the best way to really do that and help it ingrain, is go for things that are not like at the edge of your realm of possibility, to prove and build your faith, the muscle of your faith. And the stronger the muscle of your faith goes, then you start manifesting like crazy things.
I love that. I love that. So yeah, manifest in steps if that helps you guys. And please continue to ask us questions. These are awesome. I think we had one more about resistance. In
Yes.
trying to manifest something, is resistance a sign of old things clearing, new things forming, or because we are holding on and creating that resistance upon ourselves?
Let me read that one more time. In trying to manifest something, is resistance a sign of old things clearing, new
Mhm.
things forming, or because we're holding on and creating that resistance upon ourselves? Amazing question. I'm going to give my take and then you can give your take,
Yeah.
Natalie, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, of
So
course.
basically, to me, resistance, I don't really even believe really in resistance. It's a term we use because, once you have resistance, it means that you're actually focusing on the blocks and on the lack, on the
Mhm.
things that you are not, instead of the things that you are, because you're noticing that resistance or that block,
Mhm.
right? But that is an experience that we have as people, and depending on where you are in your spiritual journey, so it's possible that you have that experience. Okay, so if you're having that experience, what it is to me is subconscious blocks. It's the when you make a desire for something that you want and it's outside the realm of what you normally have, you're gonna feel resistance, because that is your subconscious mind throwing up old blocks, old feelings, old ways of how they think the world works and how the world goes. And you need to clear that. The only way to clear the resistance and the block is through. That's it. You got to go through. You got to deal with the emotions. To me, resistance is just the emotions that come up from that block of,
Mhm.
I can't have that thing, or I'm not good enough for whatever it is that I
Mhm.
desire, right? So, the way to clear the block is really just to manage with the emotions that are coming up, that fear that maybe you're not good enough or you can't have that thing or whatever it is, and that's to me what that is. Yeah.
And how do you recommend they deal with it? Like, do they just acknowledge it and then move on, or should
Always
they?
acknowledge it. I don't think you should ever repress it, but look at it. That's why I think we were talking about meditation before, and hypnosis is
Mhm.
very useful for this as well, right?
Mhm.
But what
Yeah.
it essentially comes down to is changing the paradigm of how you think in some way.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what it essentially comes down to. It's like
Mhm.
if you think that okay, so let's talk about rejection, because rejection is one of the things that I think really makes, like, gets people, whether that's
Mhm.
relationships or jobs or whatever, career,
Yeah.
sales, it doesn't matter, right? So it's like if you are identifying with the rejection, right, that's your belief. Your belief is that when I get rejected, that means something about me. So what is that going to create? Fear, sadness, all of these emotions, right? So if you can create a new way of thinking about what the rejection is, you can create a new belief system and not internalize that rejection, not accept that rejection, because that's your choice to accept the rejection or not, then that's how
Mhm.
you completely turn the situation around and manifest crazy things.
I love that. I've never heard it, like, put that way. That's a really beautiful way to put it. I love that. And from my point of view, resistance is the word but, right? I want that, but we haven't spoken in a million years. I want that, but I've never had it. I want that, but, right? So when you start to notice the buts, the way I do it is, like, I like to keep things really fun and silly, but I just look at it and I laugh at it. It's like, oh, look at this resistance coming to show it's like coming to knock on my door. Hi. Like, I don't give it attention, because that attention that I could be giving the resistance and the limitations is the same time I could be using to meditate or affirm or learn more about manifestation, right? And how powerful you are. But something you said, Lauren, at the beginning of this, and I really want us to maybe like talk about more, is remembering who you are,
Mm.
right? How did spirituality tie into how you got to where you are?
Wow, that's a very profound question. And yeah, I think that it's so interesting, because I never was spiritual and I never saw myself. I grew up Jewish, so I studied, like, Judaism and other religions. I was always interested in theology, but I didn't see I couldn't see the pragmatic purpose of faith. Okay, and I'm
Mm.
such a pragmatist. I'm like, how can we make people's lives better? That's all I care. Like, if manifestation wasn't making people's lives better, or if a tool is not making somebody get practical,
Mhm.
pragmatic results, then I drop it. My belief system will change tomorrow if that belief doesn't help me anymore.
Mhm.
Okay, so I think, like, the most important thing is not to have dogma, but to have things that you really, that are helping you and pragmatic. So I think that, like, when I understood that, really, like, faith is so pragmatic, in
Mm.
that it's the bridge that allows the bridge of incidences to unfold so that you can get that thing that you desire. I mean, that I think was, like, the biggest game changer, really.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. So, what are, pitfalls? What are some common mistakes you think people are making and really should, stop
Well,
today?
let me ask you that, because especially like for some of your clients that we have on here and stuff, like, you know, and I know you work, like you do more with hypnosis, so probably you have a lot of very different like viewpoints. I'd love to know, what is your viewpoint? What is the biggest pitfalls that you normally see, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So it sucks because the education system just doesn't teach us how powerful our minds are. So taking an interest on what is actually going on in here, right? For some of you who don't know, I was a cigarette smoker for 10 years. And then through a 1 hour session of hypnosis, I let go of that addiction. And for someone who has been reading personal development since I was 16, I was like, whoa, like that was the fastest transformation I've ever experienced. So from that moment on, I was like, what the hell is in this thing? Like, what is it? Right? So taking having a general curiosity about your mind in general will really help you to understand how it works, right? Mm-hmm. So your conscious mind is, you know, what's paying attention to us right now, but your subconscious mind is running 95 to 97% of your behavior, your actions, the things that really matter, that make you you, right? When you look at your phone, you see the screen, but you know behind it there's a million things going on to fire it, right? So looking at your life from a standpoint of understanding that your life is a printout of your programming, right? We all have programs going on in our mind. We wake up, Lauren does the Lauren things, Gnarly does the gnarly things. It's our programming, right? So when you're worrying about or looking at your life and you don't like it the way it is, you don't fix the external. You fix the program that's creating it, that's printing it out, right? So when you start from the inside, right, everything happens from within. When you really get curious about what's happening within your mind, where do these beliefs come from, then real change can happen. Not just the fake, I feel happy change. The real change, when you actually see things start to shift the way you want them to, right? So a common thing that people are getting wrong right now is not educating themselves and then not finding quiet, you know, not making time to be quiet with themselves and get still and look at the things that are hurting them, the things that are painful, the things that are the sabotage. Self-sabotage is what all of my clients have in common, right? It's like, why I want something, but I'm not going after it. What is happening there? I know I'm capable. I know I'm smart. I know I can manifest, but it's not happening fast enough, right? So what are the fears in the way? Because the truth is, everything is 100% possible 100% of the time. Like, you can have anything you want. So therefore, you're the only thing standing in your way, right? So just like humbling yourself and then doing the work and then surrendering, because I did not get here alone. You didn't get there alone, right? We had to ask for help to educate ourselves or invest in our mindsets and our personal development to release those layers that prevent us from having what we want, because it's right there. Literally, your manifestations are right there, like all the time, right? The universe is so friendly and wants to give you everything, right? So you have to get curious with, where am I not meeting it halfway? And that looks like silence, meditation, asking for help, getting honest with yourself, being really honest. My whole journey to get to this point started because I had really, really toxic relationships, horrible relationships. And that's where this whole thing started with my business. I had to look at the things that weren't working and deal with it, right? And it's not always the prettiest thing, but manifestation was the act of self-love. The word manifestation means to be seen, right? It's in Latin, it's like to be seen. So when you manifest something, it shows the desire of your heart because it prints out from your programming, right? So having your life the way you want it shows how much you love yourself and where you're dwelling mentally, right? Another beautiful thing, sorry, I'm rambling, but I just want to tell the audience.
I love the way, there's so many things. I'm trying to just remember them because there's so many interesting things you just said, but okay, continue.
Okay. One thing I've realized with our thoughts, right, and consciousness, because we're all conscious beings, right? I want you guys to think of your mind like a house, okay? Or your emotions like a house. And there's certain rooms in your house that you don't frequent. So you don't go to the basement all the time. You don't go to the attic all the time. But sometimes you're always dwelling in the living room of sadness, let's say, or you're dwelling, yes, we're definitely going to say this, you're dwelling in the room that has all the bad memories. So your consciousness is like an energy that flows through the house of your emotions. So where are you dwelling dominantly? Are you dwelling in the lack? Are you dwelling in the basement that has all the bad memories and all the pain? Or can you move your consciousness to dwell in the happiness, your future, the things that are abundant in your life, right? Because what you dominantly think about, you bring about. It's the dominant places you're dwelling. If you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed all the time, it's because you're always in that living room of sadness or overwhelm. It becomes an emotional home for you. But you can change where you dwell in your mind, and where you dwell in your mind, manifest, right? It becomes your
analogy. Like, So true what you're saying. Like exactly, there's some rooms that we just don't really venture
Mm-hmm.
into often, and that I know I would equate that with the subconscious. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so many parts of the subconscious that we don't really want to face, right? But they are manifesting every day in your life. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, what we end up manifesting, and you were saying like the definition of manifestation, what we end up manifesting is really an accumulation of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your assumptions, and then that's it. Whatever you think, you believe, you assume, that's going to create your feelings, that's going to create your experience, that's going to create your perception, that's going to create basically everything. So if I had to simplify it down to one thing, it's that all the techniques that we use are then to allow those thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions to change for, you know, for the goal that we have in mind. And Darlie, one thing I want to bring up, because you said this and it's just so true, is about self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is really the thing that I see the most with everybody in everything. It's not that that thing that you desire does not desire you. It's that you have a cognitive dissonance within your mind, a conflict, between two opposing thoughts that is happening in the mind. And those two opposing thoughts are like arguing with themselves, and that creates self-sabotage. That creates rejection of the thing that you think that you truly desire and you want so bad, but actually you're not claiming it as yours within yourself. You're telling yourself constantly, like you said earlier, about inner conversations, why I'm not good enough, why this is not mine, why I can't have this, I'm scared to have this, I'm scared to try this, I'm scared it's not going to work out. So it's like when you can eliminate that cognitive dissonance, you know, that conflict between those, what you desire and the reasons why you don't want it actually, but you're pushing it away, those thoughts in the basement, let's say, you know, that's when you really see things manifest into fruition.
You can't serve two masters.
Exactly.
You're either claiming it or you're rejecting it, right? So claim it and be excited about this, guys. I used to get really overwhelmed with all these techniques. All the techniques are for helping you focus your mind, right? Your mind is a focusing tool. It's a magnifying glass, right? So you have to move it. If your mind is think of your mind like a little puppy, right? When you've got a brand new puppy, it starts sniffing all the bad, negative things. You got to move your mind. Say, nope, we're not sniffing that today. Go sniff the flowers and the good things, right? So you got to really control your mind.
One of my clients says her mind is like a dog, and it's like always trying to chew on things and like just trying to, and it gets like, you know, no focus. And it's exactly true. And I think, like, you know, people get so caught up on where's my manifestation? Where's my manifestation? Why is it not here? Why is it not here yet?
Yeah.
When they don't understand that what we're actually learning is a skill. Okay. Spirituality in general is a practice that gives you the skill set to train your mind, to be able to focus and to put your energy on the things that you want to see more of and you want to manifest more into fruition, right? So you need to practice that skill set to be a powerful manifester. And you might be able to, and the more powerful you get at that, the better you are at controlling, like you said, directing your mind, ignoring 3D circumstances, ignoring the things that emotionally trigger you, the better you are going to be at getting what it is that you actually want.
Absolutely.
And we have a question here also, if you don't mind, I'll just ask. When there's so much overwhelming information out there about manifestation and you want to learn more, any advice on a book or resource you recommend? What about for you, Natalie?
Yeah. Well, just so you guys know, I started off with the Law of Attraction and reading a lot of Abraham and the Secret kind of books, but now I've converted. I've converted into the Law of Assumption, was popularized by Neville Goddard. So I would highly recommend the book, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. If you're into Audible, like audio listening, Audible books or whatever, there's a book called The Reader by Neville Goddard. It has like 24 excerpts from all of his work. It's maybe like $12 on Amazon. Really powerful stuff, and really just take your time to listen to it. Then of course, Lauren has a great resource. You know, her YouTube channel and Instagram is amazing. And just get curious, just get curious. But Neville Goddard, anything, you can't go wrong. You really can't go wrong.
So great. I love Neville Goddard.
I'm going to put his name in the comments. So you guys can see.
So people can look that up. Of course, he's like, he's become kind of like the grandfather, I think, of modern manifesting right now,
Oh, God. I love him.
He's like the go-to guy, right? I just want to say one thing, like for me, I recommend The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, because I think that, the practice of of time-tested spirituality helps you actually get your manifestations, because it teaches you the practice, as we were saying, about controlling your emotions, being aware of your thoughts. It teaches you that practice, right?
Yeah.
And I would say like this, guys, because it can get overwhelming with so much information there, I try to keep it extremely simple. To me, like Narly said, be, do, have, you know, that's the being of, being that thing, is to understand, like we said before, that techniques are one thing, okay? And there are a million techniques that can get you to the same, up the mountain and to the same place where you want to go. But at the end of the day, what is manifesting is only your thoughts, your beliefs, and your assumptions. So whatever you need to do to get your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions to change, then that's a technique you should be using. If you're using a technique and it's not doing that, then there's no point to that technique. Okay, we don't have to like say like this technique is the technique. It's not. It's just change your thoughts, your beliefs, and your assumptions, and actually be doing that. Don't be thinking about doing that.
Another thing I want to say, another thing that's really, okay, so I love money, right? And I recently had the most amazing manifestation. I've never manifested money just like out of thin air, right? Out of like an unknown circumstance. It usually comes from my business, modeling, Instagram, collaboration, the typical ways that I make money, right? I've never had money just like appear. And what I've learned with money manifestation, since we're all here, you know, trying to get our best life on, is to not focus so much on the amount of money you want, but focus on how money behaves in your life, how it behaves, like the behavior of money, right? And how you yourself are open to money. So one of my newest affirmations is I make money without effort. And I know this message that just happened this month just came because I've been affirming. And when you're affirming, guys, I want you to think of affirmations as literally scripting the next chapter of your life, right? Because your words or energy they don't return to you void, right? So when you're scripting and you're saying and you're claiming it, that's what you're manifesting, right? So you're building those new neural pathways in your mind. But yeah, focus on how money behaves rather than the amount of money you want. So, you know, every time I spend $100, I make 10 times more, like that kind of affirmations to really, you know, change the behavior of money and how it piles up in your life. Another thing with affirmations, because that's the way I manifest personally. I'm strictly manifestations and hypnosis. That's what I do, right? You want to make sure your affirmations elicit a visualization, right? So money flows into your life, money piles into your life. You can see how your mind starts to craft that image, right? So you want to make sure your affirmation has some sort of visualization, because your subconscious mind is an emotional mind and it only thinks in images. So that's another thing.
That's so true what you're saying. And to me, that's still like, that is categorized into self-concept, right? Like, again, that's the rules of the game, right? Exactly like you said, like, why focus on the amount? I stopped really like focusing on the amount unless it was like really outside of my self-concept, but more about like, how does money operate in your life? Like, how does the rules of the game go for you with money? And once you really like affirm on those things, then money just starts coming in. Like, just to give you an idea of my background, you know, I remember a time in my life where I didn't even make $14,000 Canadian in a year as a researcher. I had less than $500 in my bank account probably until the age of like 24 or 25. You know, I remember like really growing up quite poor, you know, without money. And so I know for a fact that like you can completely reprogram your money mindset. And it's how you think about financial abundance. So it's so true what you said, you know, is really having those like affirmations that speak to the way that money works in your life as a general rule, as a general concept.
I love the way how you say like the rules of the game. I think I'm really going to adopt that, the rules of the game. But before we close, Lauren, I'm just so curious, what are some of your daily practices for manifestations and things that you just can't live without when it comes to your process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, I'm interested to know also about yours, because I know you also like implement a lot of hypnosis. I've actually changed up my techniques all the time based on my feelings. Like you see, like I try to always find what works best for me in the moment. And so I changed a lot. Meditation has always been a go-to of mine in the morning. It really changes the way I see the entire day and how I react to things throughout the day or respond to them, right? Then affirmations is probably my absolute favorite thing. Scripting. So I'm always very conscious and aware on a daily basis of what are the inner conversations that I'm having around a topic, and what are the stories I'm telling. Like, what story am I telling about myself, about how my life goes? So, you know, even the words that you say are telling a story, right? You could be telling the story of your success, or you could be telling the story of your mediocrity, right? So what story are you telling in your mind? What are you trying to like really, you know, get to come into fruition for you. So I'm really aware of that. I also put like reminders on my phone, like you said, for affirmations. I also put reminders on my phone that say it is done. So I get reminded like 2-3 times a day, it is done. There's not anything like you need to be or do or have. It's already done. It's done. You just need to not worry about it. You need to claim it, know that it's done.
Amazing. I love that. I love that.
And how about for you?
And thank you. For me, affirmations, I do, gratitude o'clock, kind of the it is done thing and try to affirm. I do hypnosis maybe once or twice a week. The hypnosis that I'm doing is more about living in the end and waking up in that life of, my abundance and my success and all that stuff. But hypnosis is a powerful way to just also kind of distance yourself from the 3D reality. Because, sometimes you get caught up in, I'm not there yet. I still deal with that too, being like, where is it? So I do that when I'm feeling really anxious. And yeah, affirmations and hypnosis. And, I think it's also important to enjoy the 3D too, right? You don't want to miss your life, right? Like it's also important to enjoy what you have already manifested around you and just be like, wow, I'm so powerful. Like, it's never all that bad, right? It's all about perception. It's all about how you're perceiving it. And there's a really good quote, and it's like, how long is too long to get what you want, right? If someone told you your life partner is 2 years away, some people would be like, oh, that's so long. But some people would be like, wow, I got 2 years to just have the best, enjoy my singlehood. And be single, and then they'll have the life partner for the rest of my life, right? So don't rush it. The universe is rearranging to bring you exactly what you want. Just trust it, right? The words faith has a whole new meaning because of manifestation, and loyalty, being loyal to the version of you that has what you want, right? It's a beautiful journey, and I'm so happy I met you. We did this.
Me too.
Awesome.
Always amazing talking to you, really. Like, we have such great conversations.
Yeah.
You're such a deep thinker as well, which I just love. And you really I see you have a clarity about all these topics, which is, it's so nice to talk to someone who has that.
I love all of your videos. They're so succinct and so yes, I love them. I've been watching.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you so much for engaging with us.
I think there was one last question.
Are
things that are proven to be fixed by science, like height, hair color, also limiting beliefs? Yeah, basically they are. The thing that people don't understand is that, just because we don't know how something is going to come to fruition right now, it doesn't mean that it can't come to fruition. Like, when I was a kid, I remember visualizing. This was before the internet was like a thing. It was so inconsistent, dial up. I remember manifesting that I wanted to be able to draw on some like computer type thing outside, and to be able to look up music stuff outside, which was not a thing that was even possible back then. And now, I have that. Actually, I have an iPad that I draw on with my pencil, and that did not exist. Let's say 5 years ago, the technology was not there. So I think that it is, of course, it's the imagination that fuels also technology, and technology is part of the bridge of incidences. We don't have to think of it as separate.
Yeah, and we're going to save this live for sure. It's probably going to be up on both of our platforms. We're going to be saving the live for sure. Do you script all day? Scripting is up to you. Whatever, this is your reality. If you say scripting works, then you script your little heart out, right? And you say how you script is perfect. Everything, you're the you control it. You decide what works. I say affirmations work, so they work. You know what I mean? So if you, I used to script, but then I just kind of fell out of the habit, to be honest. But it's a powerful tool for sure. They're all powerful. Whatever you say,
tool.
Yeah,
it's just a tool. So you have to recognize what is putting you in that state of abundance, what is putting you in the state of having, and what is changing your beliefs and assumptions about the world. I think it doesn't have to be true. It just has to work. That's the most important.
One thing you've been saying, Lauren, like I said before, just talking about the rules of the game, and maybe what you guys could do today is, write out 10 rules of your life that you want to see. Like, these are the new rules of my life, and just affirm those rules, right? Wherever I go, I'm abundant, I'm successful wherever I go, or something, make those new rules for yourself. Why not, right? It's a new year. So
I love that. I didn't even think of telling people, but you're so right. Exactly. Go gain the awareness and actually start thinking about it, make a decision on it, and then live in that knowing state of that. 100%.
I love it. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. The live replay was definitely going to be up soon. So Lauren, thank you so much. This was so much fun. We could talk about, we could do this for hours. I know we could. I know we could talk about
we could definitely sit here for hours. But it was a great talk, and thanks for everybody for
Yeah.
joining in.
For sure. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to check out Lauren and her amazing YouTube channel. And if you're new to me,
Yes, it's on
definitely
the link in my
come
bio.
follow. All right, talk to
Thank
you
you
guys
guys.
soon.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.